Yes, you've seen the title. You know that I have made a mistake. Um, so, it's just like Godfather 3, right? Just when you think you're out, I pull you back in. Um, so, allow me to give you a little bit of history about myself in the game of Magic the Gathering. I started playing Magic in about 1997 or so, I believe. Second grade. Um, which was when I first met my main group of friends in grade school. The newest set when I started playing was Tempest. So to give you some idea of how long ago that was, shortly after Tempest was when they started marking the rarity of cards with colors on the symbols. And then shortly after that, we had foil cards for the first time. That was a new thing. I remember when that was a new thing. Um, and uh, I was in a daycare program mornings and then in the summer all day, and we would just play Magic ruthlessly all day long. Weekends at slumber parties, just constantly played Magic. Saturdays there was like a tournament at the local game store, Dreamers, which still exists, called Dreamers Vault now. Um, Still going strong, and there's five of them around the cities now. I think the one near me is the original, though. I know at least one of the stores was a different store, and then they took it over. But so I, up until daycare ended, which was when I was going into middle school, I played Magic a lot, uh, and then my playing leveled off quite a bit when I didn't have that sort of constructed time to play, right? And I found other interests and things, and I always would play a little bit, come back to it every now and then. But I didn't come back to it maybe with like a seriousness until around 2010. I sort of had the itching to play, and I sort of put my feelers out on Facebook, and some old friends of mine from junior high, high school were like, "Oh yeah, we play at Dreamers on the weekends. You should come and play." So I did, and I did that for a while. But then I went to college, and I didn't have the time or the money to keep doing that. Um, and then things got kind of tight when I was in college financially, and my cards, a lot of them had appreciated in value quite a bit, um, or so I thought. And so I sold most of them, the ones that were worth money, basically, I sold. Um, so some of the things that I can now look back on and say that I have lost would include I ran a Recurring Nightmare Survival of the Fittest deck, um, the card deck based around those two cards. So I had a playset of each, four of each. At the time, Recurring Nightmare was, maybe a $5 card, um, and Survival of the Fittest was more expensive. It was probably a $20 card. Um, and so I think I sold off for about that amount. It was like $80 for the Survival of the Fittest and $20 for the Recurring Nightmares. Recurring Nightmare now sells for about $50, and Survival of the Fittest, each one, they'll run you 300 a piece. So those have gone up 10 times in value in the 9 years since I sold them. Um, my other main deck, my I had three decks. My other two decks were a Necropotence deck, mono black, and my third deck, the deck that I had run the longest, was a Replenish deck. Replenish is a spell that returns your enchantments from your graveyard into play. And I sold all of the stuff out of that was worth money. Obviously, Replenish was the big money maker out of that, but even that, not even true at the time. I sold. I had a playset of Force of Will, and those were worth like $50 a piece. So I sold that for like $200. Those are now like $100 a piece. So hurts, but not nearly as much. Replenish was like a $7 card. I think I sold my set of them for like $20, and now those are $100 a piece. That sucks. And then the mono black, it had all the sort of standard things you would have for a Necropotence deck. It had a Necropotence, it had a Yawgmoth's Bargain, Demonic Tutor, Vampiric Tutor, some Lakes of the Dead. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't running Power 9 or anything like that, but I had good cards. And so what has happened, they pulled me back in. It started innocuously enough with me watching, getting suggested on YouTube a couple of videos about history of Magic, things, specific events in Magic, and I start watching those. I start feeling the itch, and then I start tunneling down a bit. I find a channel, a guy named Nitzahon, who does top 10s of Magic stuff. I started learning about new cards, new things. So like in 2010, when I came back, I had to learn about new things that had happened in my time away, like mythic rares. That was a new thing. Planeswalkers. That was a new thing. And my friends introduced me to this exciting new way to play called EDH that was just getting its, feet off the ground. So now, things have changed even more drastically in the time since. We've got not only just tons of new cards, but we've got new formats. We've got the introduction of Modern. We've got Commander being taken in as an official, thing by Wizards, and given that name Commander instead of just being referred to as EDH. To the point where it seems at this point like Commander is the most popular way to play Magic nowadays, which makes sense because it seems like the most experimental and the cheapest probably to play. But learning more about the cards, then I start falling into more. I find Tolarian Community College with the professor. Bless you, sir. You were my spirit guide into this nightmare journey that I have undertaken. What a lovely man. Then I see a video. I'm getting interested in Commander, right? I'm interested. At this point, I've voiced to a couple friends, hey, I'm thinking about playing Magic again. I voiced this to one friend who actively plays, but he primarily plays in a format called Old School, which varies in it's a casual format, but generally it's only cards printed in 93 and 94, which is like Alpha Beta Unlimited Revised Arabian Nights. That's it. Very expensive. Though a lot of the players, since it's a casual format, people are usually cool with you playing with proxies. Maybe not in tournaments, but like just if you go to hang out, they're not dicks about it. So says Saul. So I told him this, and I told my friend Alex this, who used to play, and Alex was like, I would play, but I'm not going to spend more than $20 on a card. And I was like, it's not going to get you very far, my friend. And so he was like, okay, well, maybe if you make decks, I'll play with you with them. Right? Cool. So, at this point, I'm like, all right, so I knew where I had one box of cards. It was, this box. So in the ensuing, 10 years, I would occasionally, just for fun, because I had money at the time or whatever, impulsively I would buy boosters, Fat Pack in this case. This is a Clans of Tarkir Fat Pack from, when was this, 5 years ago? 7 years ago, 2014. And And so I knew I had this fat pack, and it had in it a bunch of random cards from boosters and stuff that I had bought, and then it also had proxied out versions of two of my old decks. It had the Replenish deck and the Necropotence deck in it, in proxy form. And so I pulled those out, and I sorted out the cards, sorted out the rares, started looking them up, found a few gems. Then I looked through the deck, and there were a few cards in the decks that weren't proxied, because I didn't bother getting rid of them because they weren't worth anything. And so my first big score was the other main engine card of the Replenish deck, Opalescence. Opalescence is 2 white and 2 colorless for an enchantment, and it makes that all other enchantments are also creatures with power and toughness equal to their converted mana cost. And so the win condition of the deck was basically to draw and mill yourself, fill your graveyard with a bunch of utility enchantments, mostly high casting cost, replenish, put everything into play. Everything is a creature. There's enchantments that will give your creatures haste. When everything comes out, you can basically wipe the board, get rid of any blockers, and then swing instantly and win. This was a junk rare at the time. I couldn't even get $1 on eBay for all 4 of them. And this is a $50 card now. And I have 4 of them, and I found a 5th one in the box, too. So that was a big score. That's $250, you know? That's not nothing. I kept going through stuff. I was like, I know I have 2 long boxes of cards somewhere in a box somewhere in this basement. So I started looking, and as of this recording, I still have not found those 2 boxes. I know that they are somewhere. I don't think that there's probably much in them in terms of rares, but I found other things instead. The first thing I found was a big ass shoebox that was full of cards. So I open it, and I start looking through it, and I noticed something instantaneously. It's all just like a mass of cards just piled in there. They're not sorted in any way. But I realized that there are 2 things in there that I did not realize that I had. And those 2 things are a proxy copy of my Recurring Nightmare Survival of the Fittest deck in purple sleeves. Nice. I love purple. And the actual Necropotence deck. I thought I got rid of this. I was so certain that I got rid of it that at some point in the last 8-9 years, I made a proxy version of it because I forgot that I had the actual deck. And it was just sitting in this box. So, some of the things that I found in it, we've got a Revised Demonic Tutor. That's a $40 card or so. We've got a Yawgmoth's Bargain. That's like a $20 card. We've got an Original Visions printing of the Vampiric Tutor. That's a $70 card. There's a 5th edition version of Necropotence. That's like a $45 card. We've got 1 copy of Cable Coffers. This was an uncommon originally. But even though this is an uncommon, this is now a like $35 card or so. And then, of course, 2 Lakes of the Dead. This was like a $6 or $7 card at the time when I got them. It is now $115 a piece. So right there, you know, that's a cool $400. So I shit my pants. I was so excited. And I had been working on sort of coming up with deck lists and ideas about commander decks that I might try, because I started watching a lot more commander content, watching people play commander, seeing commanders that I thought were cool that I thought I might like to play with. And both of the decks I came up with, one was mono black and one was black and green. And so, you know, when you're playing with black, you want Demonic Tutor, you want Vampiric Tutor. But I'm not in a place where I can drop that kind of money on a card right now. So finding those, very exciting. The thing is that, like, so of these 3 decks, as the deck list stands, I can't play any of them in Modern, of course. Modern is like 2003 to present. All 3 of these decks revolve around win condition cards that are from before then, from when I was a kid. I could feasibly rework the Replenish deck into Legacy, which is, not as expensive as Vintage. The only major card that was outlawed in Legacy that was in it was called Frantic Search, which is a blue and 2 white to draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards and then untap 3 land. Very useful card, but easily replaceable with Careful Study, which is 1 blue mana to just draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards. Necropotence and Yawgmoth's Bargain are both banned in Legacy. Can't do that. And Recurring Nightmare is banned in Legacy, so can't do that. But if I'm going to play Vintage, there's no way to play Vintage without Power 9. It's just not feasible. You're not going to win. So these are casual decks now, right? But if I'm going to be playing casually, which I am, probably, Commander is like that's what everybody plays. So it's just like... And I understand why. Commander is really cool. It's really interesting. It allows you to look at the game in a whole new way. And because you can only have 1 of each card, it's not nearly as prohibitively expensive to play it, Certainly, you can make it expensive if you want, but it's not that... It's possible to play it for pretty cheap. So I think that's going to be the main road that I take. So I found, a ton of cards in these 2. I found that shoebox, and then I found a second box, this sort of like children's suitcase that I had since I was a baby. I used to call the Buddy Box. I'll show you. Here's the Buddy Box. And just keep whatever in it for kids. Well, the Buddy Box had a bunch of stuff in it, including Magic cards, but also a bunch of other card games from the 90s. We had represented both the original Star Wars trading card game from the 90s, as well as the Star Wars Episode 1 Young Jedi's trading card game. And then I had some Legend of the Five Rings in there. I had a little bit of probably a starter deck of the Tomb Raider trading card game in there. And then a bunch of just playing cards, and then all of the cards from some old version of Trivial Pursuit. So I sorted through all of that. Oh, and of course, some Pokemon cards. The other big find I found when I was looking was that I found this binder of Pokemon cards. They're not my childhood Pokemon cards. Those are long gone. But when I worked at half price, I got this binder of Pokemon cards for free and brought them home because they were going to get thrown away. And Pokemon cards have gone up a lot in value recently. So I sorted through those Pokemon cards, and these are all of the rares and foils that it had. I've only looked up a couple. And the first one I looked up, it's not in very good condition. But this is an older card from 2000. We've got a Light Arcanine foil, and even in this condition, I think it's worth about $30. So I haven't looked these up yet. I'm very excited to, because I'm going to sell them to buy Magic cards, or trade them for Magic cards. There's a Twin Cities Geek Marketplace group on Facebook where you can buy, sell, and trade stuff. I did look up and scan all of the rares that I had loose. These are all rares that are worth less than $2. Junk rares. But these are all rares that are worth more than $2. There's quite a few. The big ones, the most expensive of the expensive ones, meaning $25 and up. We've got Archive Trap. This is a 2 blue, 3 colorless instant. If an opponent searched their library this turn, you may pay nothing rather than play the mana cost. Target opponent puts the top 13 cards of their library into their graveyard. That's about a $25 card. Then I remembered when I found this. I remembered pulling it. Windswept Hearth. This is just this is the white and green fetch land. Fetch lands are ubiquitous and expensive because everybody needs them. I remember I just bought a random pack one day at Target for fun, and this was in it, and I was like, "Holy shit! I actually got a good card." That's like a $30 card. Nut Collector. This is a remnant of a deck I had long ago. That was a squirrel deck, token deck, that I got rid of an eon ago. So long ago that Doubling Season didn't exist when I made that deck. And I had Nut Collector, and you can kind of, maybe you can see, it's in pretty sad shape. You know, the corners are pretty busted up. But normally, this is like a $35 card. I bet in this condition, it's maybe more like a $20 card. But still, it's a good card. 1 green and 5 colorless for a 1/1. Doesn't sound great. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a 1/1 green squirrel token into play, and then Threshold, if you have more than 7 cards in your graveyard, all squirrels get +2/+2. And then the most expensive card that I found just like in these boxes of random shit, I wish I'd had when I had that squirrel deck, it's Parallel Lives. 1 green, 3 colorless enchantment. If an effect would put 1 or more tokens onto the battlefield under your control, it puts twice that many of those tokens onto the battlefield instead. This is a $50 card. Very cool. So the grand total of all of the cards that I scanned, which was just rares, I do have a ass load of commons and uncommons and land and stuff, but just the rares that I have, I thought I had gotten rid of everything good, right? I did get rid of everything that was good 10 years ago. $1,352. Not fucking bad. Over half of that was the stuff from the Necropotence deck and those Opalescences, which is whatever. It's pretty awesome. Oh, and I forgot, I also, there's some value in here too. I have a bunch of the World Championship cards from the World Championship decks. People might not even know what these are. From the late 90s through the early 2000s, they would basically take the top 8 from the Pro Tour World Finals, and they would reprint them and sell them as pre-constructed decks for $10. But they're not tournament legal. They have these backs, and then they have gold borders on the cards. And nobody cared about these ever. But now, suddenly, they are valuable. They're not tournament legal, you know, but in casual play, they look and feel exactly like a real card, so you can use them as like a high quality proxy. So if there is a, you know, version of this of a valuable card, it is still pretty valuable. The most notable, like, so Gaia's Cradle, which is like $1,000 card now, the World Championship version of that is like $300, even though it's not tournament legal. So some of the ones that I have that are pretty valuable, I've got Grindstone. So I don't have the full decks anymore. They just, you know, traded or lost or whatever. They've made their way out of my life. Grindstone, this is like $100 card now, and this is like $30 for that. Enlightened Tutor, that's like a $50 card. I think these are selling for like $25. Volrath Stronghold, this is like a $120 card, and this version is selling for like $30. I've actually got 2 of those. And then Hall of Gemstones, which is also like $100 card, and this sells for like $30. So yeah, I got way more and way better stuff than I thought I did. That's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited. Now, all of this is to say that when I decided I'm going to play again, I wasn't sure what direction to go. And then I realized that it was sitting right in front of my stupid face the whole time. So there's a store, game store, in Minneapolis called All Systems Go. They've been around for about 3 years. They are my favorite game store. I love, 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 love that store. It's very small, you know, among the smallest. But they sell new and used board games, video games, RPG books, collectible card stuff, Magic, Pokemon, whatever. And since they sell used, they buy, right? And they pay really well. And it used to be that like the only place that you could sell a board game or a movie was half price. And half price doesn't pay well. But these guys at All Systems Go, they pay like half-ish, I think, depending, of what they're going to sell stuff for, which is half price pays max 40%. Average, maybe 10% of what they sell stuff for. Trade secret. So, I started trading stuff in there, and also, they price their stuff very well. They started as an online seller, selling stuff on eBay, and most of their stock is cross-listed with their online sales. So the prices are like priced at what things online are priced, and then they mark things down in the store. You get like 10% off. And they have a rewards system, a point system, that allows you to basically, consistently, if you're spending money there on a regular basis, save an additional 10% off of basically everything that you buy. I love that store. It's great. And so, earlier in the year, in like January, I sold a bunch of stuff to them. And I got like $1,000 worth of store credit. And, once a month or so, I'll go in there, see what they got, pick up a game, pick up whatever, And I knew that I had like $300 left of my store credit. And so I was like, I'm going to go there and I'm going to see what they've got for Magic, And so I go, I start talking, I'm looking at the singles, and also one thing I love about this place, everybody there, so nice, so friendly, and it's owned by a guy named Anders, and then the shop manager is this guy Michael, both super nice guys. And when the store first opened, for the first like couple of years, they were the only people that worked there, and they get to know you if you're a regular, to the point where today, when I was checking out, Michael was like, your phone number starts with 308, right? From me signing up for rewards and stuff, and from him having to call me for trade-ins, I guess. But still, like, he didn't just remember my name. He remembered the beginning of my phone number? That's insane. Awesome. But so I was looking at the singles, and I was like, I've made the unfortunate decision to come back to Magic. And he was like, I understand, I have made that unfortunate decision as well in my life. And we started talking about Magic, and then the other employee who was working there also was talking about Magic. And so I was sort of shooting the shit with them about it and talking about like all the changes, new things. I'm thinking about Commander. And they're like, oh, we have the Commander Precon decks. And there's two, for the most recent set, Innistrad Midnight Hunt. And they're pretty good. I was like, oh, they're pretty good, actually, for Precon, huh? And they're like, yeah, like, they're pretty fun, and they're not hard to, modify and upgrade. And, like, Michael mentioned the professor from Tulare Community College. He said his review, both of them, priced out. Singles value is like over $100. They're selling them for $42 a piece, but they're selling them with a special. If you buy both, $70. Well, I opened one already, so it's there, and then the other one I didn't open yet. So I got these two commander decks, and I thought perfect, because Alex wants to play, but he doesn't want to buy a deck or buy cards, right? So this way I'll have two commander decks right now that we can play with, whatever, and then I can modify them however. I can go play maybe at a FLGS some night. Dreamers, I looked it up, and they do commander for $5 on Saturdays. But I am an asshole, and I was like, you know what? Only once upon in my life have I ever had the distinct pleasure of cracking a booster box. And it was for Innistrad, the original Innistrad release. Right before I got out of Magic, I bought a booster box just because I could. I flipped the most expensive cards in it on eBay and made 60% of the money I spent back. This guy didn't sell back then, so I guess I made it all back. And there's 3 different types of booster packs now. That's another new change. You've got your draft pack, which is like the classic style that's intended for sealed play, for drafting. Then you've got set packs, which are like intended to be more for like people who want to get a wide range of cards. And then you've got the collector's packs, which are extremely expensive. They're like $15-20 a piece, and they've got a bunch of more rares and guaranteed foils and guaranteed full art and alternate art and all these things. I also got some dragon sleeves for the commander decks. And so, $30 packs right there of Innistrad Midnight Hunt. The most recent set, that we have a new set coming out in just a couple weeks in November. So, I think there's going to be some more Magic content in the horizon. Since this is my channel, I can do whatever the fuck I want. If you don't want to watch Magic content, then don't. That's fine. I don't care. If you just are here for books, that's fine. I'll keep making videos about books too, I promise. But as soon as I finish shooting this, I'm gonna open that box, and we're gonna see what I get. It's not gonna be as glamorous as most people's pack opening videos, where they've got like an overhead camera that they can close up on. But I'm really excited. I think this is going to be fun. I know that Magic is a horrible, expensive hobby, and you may argue that an expensive collecting hobby is not something I need in my life when I already collect records and collect movies and collect video games and collect books. And to those critics, I would say, fuck you. I am older than 30, which means I'm an adult, and I can do what I want, because it's America. This was all just sort of a preamble for me to do that pack opening video. I just was like, I need to sort of tell the context, I think. And I knew it was going to be long-ish. This raw footage is like 35 minutes. I'll probably cut it down a bit. I didn't want to put it at the beginning of the pack opening video, and delay getting to the goods. So, there it is. Thanks for watching. Love you guys. Enjoy.